Testing. Okay. ah, much better. Hello, everyone. Let me double check. Hang on. Let me just double check. Everything is on. Okay. Everything is on. Just checking the sound. Okay. Sound coming in. Okay. Go to Instagram and live. Yep. Okay. Sound is in. Okay. Let me check. My God. Press the wrong button again. Think I have to restart the Instagram. Just give me a sec. Yeah. Okay. I think. Oh, hang on. Let's see. I don't know how to. Hmm. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. I'll restart my live. Oh no, I don't have to. Okay. That's good. So it's still there. Okay. Great. Okay. Let me just call out the people in my group to say it's online. Okay, and maybe I'll shout out to some people. Let me check. Can I do a shout out? Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Yep, I think I can. Hang on. How can I mute? Okay, I'll mute here. I'll mute first, and then maybe I do this, this, this. See who else. Let me just shout out for a minute for a few people to come online, and let's see who else. Oh, Walter. Walter Turner? That the one? Hang on. Okay. Okay. Shout out to those people. So, welcome, 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 everyone. This is Chris E from Sydney, Australia. Welcome back to my IG Live and YouTube Live together. So, yeah, today I have a, a very good topic that I learned from Maxwell, John C. Maxwell. So, this is a very, very basic foundation topics about leadership. Now, the reason I wanted to touch this is because a lot of people know that leadership is actually important, but they don't necessarily uh, put it out as a goal to actually intentionally grow. And leadership, how does the leadership is actually align with your business in that sense. And in my program, the entrepreneur's roadmap, the second milestone is actually strategy, of which you know, uh, growing yourself as a good leaders, growing yourself as, you know, growing your leadership level is actually important. And this is where I think this is why it becomes more uh, relevant for us to understand, on why our business maybe, didn't grow to a certain stage that we wanted. And maybe we need to actually look back and then look into, look to ourselves and wonder, where we are in our leadership skills, because this is very much important for us to actually understand and see. Maybe our level of leadership is the one that actually causing the business to actually stuck. So yeah, and I would like to try a different thing this time, and maybe uh, reading part of the book. So the law of the lead is actually of part of the book that by John C. Maxwell. It's called the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. So base, John Maxwell, which is one of my mentor that I always follow. I subscribe to his YouTube channel. I listen to all the Maxwell leadership podcasts, not all, not yet all. And I joined the team to become the certified team. Uh, yeah, and this give me access to more resources and learn to understand that whether we like it or not, we need to understand that in business, it is a relationship. How do I say this? Every business, whether we like it or not, whether we're selling products or services, is basically a relational transactions, if that's appropriate, if I can say that. Okay, it's relational uh basis always, because if you don't create a relation to your customer or to your team, then you your business cannot grow. On the early days of building a business, maybe it's only you, only me, and we deal directly with clients. So the relationship and the leadership skill is only how I'm portraying myself with the client. So, but when your business started to grow, the relationship complex started to actually also grow. Instead of only you and dealing, maybe in the early days, you and your wife, of which the relational, internal relationship structure, or, you know, scheme is between you and your wife or your family. So thus it may be simpler because you know them already for a long time. And if you're the salesperson, or you're the one that getting the sales, for the company, for your business, then relational is important between the company, of which that you're actually the representation of the business to the client. And that's how you portray yourself, uh, will then, create businesses, scenario, for the clients, right? So thus it will resulted in a uh, transactional scenario. In that sense, then you will close the client. If you don't have that leadership skills, or the sales skills, or whatever it is, right, that we you can call it. But I think the main important is also the leadership, although it's actually to a client, it's a leadership skills also, in the sense of that you can then portray yourself as a very integral, in very stake with a lot of entrepreneurs, that they ignore this, in the sense of they don't take this as important. They don't take this as it, you know as something that they need to take care of, and they don't have plants intentionally growing themselves always. Now, maybe you grow yourself in a skills, like for example, if you need to actually close client, how to present to client, that maybe you learn about all those stuff. You learn about how to create a catching promotions, marketing, and things like that. But how often that we actually learn to improve ourselves as a leader, how often that we learn to improve our relationship skills. And this is something that we need to actually take it on board and understand the importance of this, because how you deal with other people, starting when when your company is still small, where it's only you and maybe your a few people, let's say it's just you, right? Then relationship with your client is important. How you deal with your client is actually important, and this is where we have to grow and have a strategy in place to grow ourselves as a leader intentionally. Now, when the business started to grow and you started to actually have teams, of which is not only you or your wife or your son or your family, then the complexity of relationship skills. not on I'm simplifying that leadership is not only about relationship skills. There's a lot of things, right, that convey and then becoming a leadership in that sense. But a good leaders always have shown that they are good in relationals, in relationships with different stakeholders. So when your team is growing, the complexity of your team, your business is growing also. And thus, because of this complexity, if you don't have a strategy or plan for you to actually grow your leadership skills intentionally, then you need to understand that you jeopardizing the the likelihood of your business. So let me just now, oh, hello Mariska, hello Dr. Asep, welcome, welcome. This is the English session. So yeah, hope you like it and hope this is actually be of a good value, added value to you personally and to your business. And yeah, coming back, let's just put it, let's just look how John Maxwell put it. So in the law of the lead, as we know, John Maxwell always said that leadership is about influence. And influence talks many different things. One of them is relationship. You will not be able to actually influence people if you have a bad relationship. Nobody will care about what you said, right? So anyway, leadership is influence, and the leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. And yeah, in the book 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, he mentioned that the ability, the leadership ability or the leadership skills is the lead. So this is like the lead that holding up the cup. For example, if I hold this cup, right, and I put it a lid on top of it, that's that's your leadership, that's your maximum leadership skill, ability, because then you cannot grow more than this. And this is your business and this is your leadership lead, right? So thus the business cannot grow more than whatever the level that you have. So the lower an individual's ability to lead, the lower the lead on his potential. So this is where I said, right, uh, if you don't grow your leadership skills or leadership ability, you're jeopardizing the likelihood, the future of your business, because the potential of your business to grow can be held back, because of your leadership ability, of your leadership skills. So that's why it is actually important. And John Maxwell give the example is, if your leadership rates as an 8, then your effectiveness can never be greater than a 7. Okay? If your leadership is only a 4, then your effectiveness will be no higher than a 3. Your leadership ability, for better or for worse, always determines your effectiveness and the potential impact of your organizations. Now, this is then followed by the example, a very famous example. Let me just read this section, and hopefully this is actually will be a good example. A story that illustrates the law of the lead. In 1930, two young brothers named Dick and Morris moved from Hampshire to California in search of the American dream. They had just gotten out of high school and they saw few opportunities back home. So they headed straight for Hollywood, where they eventually found jobs on a movie studio set. After a while, their entrepreneurial spirit and interest in the entertainment industry prompted them to open a theater in Glendale, a town about 5 miles northeast of Hollywood. But despite of all their efforts, the brothers just couldn't make the business profitable. And in the 4 years they ran the theater, they weren't able to consistently generate enough money to pay the $100 a month rent that their landlord required. So at the end of the day, the brothers stopped the business, and but because they have a strong desire for entrepreneurship, they kept looking for better business opportunity, and in 1937 they finally struck on something that worked. They opened a small drive-in restaurant in Pasadena, located just east of Glendale. People in Southern California had become very dependent on their cars, and the culture was changing to accommodate that, including its businesses. The drive-in restaurant was a phenomenon that sprang up in the early 30s, and it was becoming very popular. Rather than being invited into a dining room to eat, customers would drive into a parking lot around a small restaurant, place their orders with car hoops, and receive their food on trays right in their cars. The food was served on a china plates, complete with glassware and metal utensils. It was a timely idea in a society that was becoming faster paced and increasingly mobile. So, Dick and Morris Tiny's drive-in restaurant was a great success, and in 1940, so just 3 years after, they decided to move the operation to Bernardino, a working-class boomtown 50 miles east of Los Angeles. They built a larger facility and expanded their menu from hot dogs, fries, and shakes to include barbecued beef and pork sandwiches, hamburgers, and other items. Their business exploded. Annual sales reached 200,000, and the brothers found themselves splitting $50,000 in profit every year, a sum that put them in the town's financial elite. In 1948, their intuition told them that times were changing, and they made modification to their restaurant business. They eliminated the car hoops and started serving only walk-up customers. And they also streamlined everything. They reduced their menu and focused on selling hamburgers. They eliminated plates, glassware, and metal utensils, switching to paper and plastic products instead. They reduced their costs and lowered the price they charge customers. They also created what they call the speedy service system. Their kitchen became like an assembly line where each employee focused on service with speed. The brothers' goal was to fill each customer's orders in 30 seconds or less, and they succeeded. By the mid 50s, annual revenue hits $350,000, And by then, Dick and Morris split net profits of about $100,000 each year between the two. Who were these brothers? Back in those days, you could have found out by driving to their small restaurant on the corner of 14th and E Street in San Bernardino. On the front of a small octagonal building hung a neon sign that simply said McDonald's hamburgers. Dick and Morris McDonald had hit the great American jackpot, and the rest, as they say, is history. Right? Wrong. The McDonald's never went any further because their weak leadership put a lid on their ability to succeed. So, the story behind the story, it's true that McDonald brothers were financially secure. Theirs was one of the most profitable restaurant enterprises in the country, and they felt that they had a hard time spending all the money they made. Their genius was in customer service and kitchen organizations. That, that talent led to the creation of a new system of food and beverage service. In fact, their talent was so widely known in the food service industry that people started writing them and visiting them from all over the country to learn more about their methods. At one point, they received as many as 300 calls and letters every month. This led them to the idea of marketing the McDonald's concept. The idea of franchising restaurants wasn't new. It had been around for several decades. To the McDonald brothers, it looked like a way to make money without having to open another restaurant themselves. So, in 1952, they got started, but their effort was a dismal failure. The reason was simple: they lacked the leadership necessary to make a larger enterprise effective. Dick and Morris were good single restaurant owners. They understood how to run a business, make their systems efficient, cut costs, and increase profits. They were efficient managers, but they were not leaders. Their thinking patterns clamped a lid down on what they could do and become. At the height of their success, Dick and Morris found themselves smack dab against the law of the lid. So this is proof this story continue later on. This story proof that at some point when they started the business, they improved the system, they improved them themselves to be they know how to actually become a good restaurant owner, to build a good restaurant system and build it to a success for them, for their restaurant. But that's where their level of leadership stuck. They cannot make it work outside the success of their own restaurant. And this is where it's becoming very, very interesting, right? Because you thought that when you have you sh- when you are when you are successful in in doing a business, you reach a certain level and people call you successful in doing that business, then technically you should be able to actually grow more, but not with Dick and Maurice. This is what really fascinating for me. The story, the story on how McDonald's happened. I really recommend you guys to actually watch the movie. I'm not saying that it's the, it's based on a true, their story, and on how Ray Kroc built the McDonald's to become like now. But I want you to see the principle in there, how Ray Kroc is actually building it. Now, the movie is basically focused on Ray Kroc, on how he actually built the business. Now, anyway, the book, when I read the book, I understand then, what happened behind the scene, for Dick and Morris, because the movie only focusing on Ray Kroc. But when I read, Maxwell's book in this one, I started to understand. Okay, they actually created a successful business, a successful restaurant. Why thing doesn't work for them? When they wanted to actually franchise it, like even further, when they try to franchise it, they can only sell it to 15 people, to 15, franchise prospects. And out of those 15, only 10 open a restaurant. This is really interesting for me. What happened? And then question arises for me, what happened to those 10 who actually opened the business? And at some point, later on, let you know, there is a saying, when there is a statement, there is a scenario that, that John was saying that, uh, there is a discussion between Dick and Maurice in the years that they attempted to actually franchise their, food service system. So the discussion was about opening, they wanted, the discussion is between Dick and Maurice, and actually between Dick and Maurice and one of the franchisee, right? So at that time, Dick and Maurice only sell the concepts, not selling the brand. And the one of their, the first franchisee, uh, from Phoenix, told the brothers that he wanted to call his restaurant McDonald's. And Dick's response was, "What for? McDonald's means nothing in Phoenix." And this proved that Dick and Morris leadership lead hold themselves for the vision. Dick leadership skills or leadership ability hold their business, instead of being able to see that their brand is gonna grow. Their idea is nobody knows McDonald's outside San Bernardino. So what's the point of naming the restaurant McDonald's? So this is where it's very interesting with the with this insights on how it actually proved that the one that causing the business not to be able to actually grow further than that is themselves. So yeah, so let me just continue then, right? So then in 1954, 2 years after they started the franchise, and they failed, they thought it's actually failed, not no no progress. The brothers, you know news, basically Ray Kroc heard about them, and then At the end of the day, Ray Kroc hooked up with the brothers. And Ray Kroc was a leader. Ray Kroc has been running a small company he founded, which sold machines for making milkshakes. He knew about McDonald's. The restaurant was one of his best customers. And as soon as he visited the store, he had a vision for its potential. Now, now look at this. This is very important. When he come and look at the place, same scenario, same situation, he can see the potentials. He can see that the restaurant can be expanded more than Bernardino. Forgive me. I had difficulties in saying that name. San Bernardino. San Bernardino. Okay. So Ray Kroc can see its potential, and that's becoming his goals, or his vision is to make it the worldwide brand or household brand in that sense, if I remember correctly. So he wanted to, he can see, he can see that the vision is to make McDonald's name or brand to become a household brand. So he soon struck a deal with Dick and Morris in 1955, and he formed McDonald's System Inc. And later it was called McDonald's Corporation. So what happened here now, because Dick and Morris doesn't see the vision of that, they don't have that vision, and Ray Kroc see the opportunity, and he saw that as a good thing, and thus he bought in. He immediately, Ray Kroc immediately bought the rights to a franchise so that he could use it as a model and prototype. He would use it to sell other franchises. Then he began to assemble a team and build an organizations to make McDonald's a nationwide entity. He recruited and hired the sharpest people he could find, and as his team grew in size and ability, his people developed additional recruits with leadership skills. So this is why we need to understand. Now, cut long story short, Ray Kroc is not a smooth sailing. He has to sacrifice a lot, and basically, within the first I think 8 years or 6 years, he didn't actually. The first 8 years, he never took salary from McDonald's, and then he borrowed from bank. And in 1961, when everything actually started to everything is paying off, he bought the right, exclusive right to McDonald's from the brothers for a sum of 2.7 million, and he proceeded to turn it into an American institution and global entity. Now you guys can see this, right? The difference between the leadership skills or the leadership ability. Now leadership ability also convey visions in that sense. How you see potential, how you uh, see others, see potential in others, see potential in your business, how big you can see the business to grow. And and in the case of Dick and Morris, their lead to say lead is their ability as a leader is only seeing that McDonald's is just one restaurant in San Bernardino. Nothing else, nothing more. And that's why it's a no it's logical for them to actually then say, to their first franchise at that time, why you want to call your restaurant McDonald's? Because in their mind, McDonald's is San Bernardino. And in Phoenix, in Phoenix, their first franchisee, Neil Fox in Phoenix, they said, McDonald's is not known in Phoenix. But this is where they have that small mentality in that sense. Thus, the small mentality, going back to the foundation again, right? Their mentality limits their ability as a leader. And this is why it's so important for you to build the strong foundation in the first place. I'm not saying that you need to have such a big, like Ray Kroc in that sense, right? You can do what you can start for wherever you are, but you cannot stop growing. You need to grow your lead all the time. As long as you live, growing is part of the process. And leadership ability needs to grow. Whether we like it or not, we need to grow as a leaders. Now, in business, the leadership also not talking about ourselves, not talking only about us, about me, about you. In business, then when you have a leadership, when you start hiring team, it can be also that the leadership is not only you. The person who will make that call is not you, because at some point maybe that person is more capable than you. And this is where, in the story, that Ray Kroc built the business, built the McDonald's corporation, hired the sharpest people he could find, and as the team grows in size and ability, his people develop additional recruits with leadership skills. What does it mean? It means it's not only him. He is actually the head, but he has now someone else underneath him with a leadership skill that can make a call for different aspect of the business. And this is where we have to understand that our business, in that sense, the leadership team of the business, is a collective ability, skills, ability of different people that we have in the business. And thus, it is important for us to actually see that we may not have a perfect score, and we will not be able to hire people with ability, leadership ability higher than us, because those people will feel they are actually cramped, they are actually cannot move. Because if you work under a leader who's actually lower ability and effectiveness than you, then you will feel boxed. And unless your leaders grow themselves to be higher than you as soon as possible, or actually grow as together as you, then maybe you can stay. But most of the time, when there is a breakup, when people, when leaderships broke broke down, that usually happen because the top leadership have a lower leadership effectiveness or ability than the one that they are hiring. So it's very important for you to be able to see and grow also, because that will determine also the success of your business. And this is what Ray Kroc is actually showing. So, in contrast with Dick and Morris, the leadership's lead in Ray Kroc's life was sky high. So, in between 1955 and 1959, Ray Kroc succeeded in opening 100 restaurants. 4 years after that, there were 500 McDonald's. Today, the company, let me just check how many McDonald's in the world. And approximately right now, as of 2023, there are approximately 41,800 restaurants worldwide. Wow. And it's growing every year. Like this is a data from 2023. Excuse me. And growing from 40,000 to 100 in previous year. Wow. Now you can see, right? Leadership ability, or more specifically, the lack of leadership ability, was the lead on the McDonald's brothers' effectiveness. So I cannot stress more importance of this anymore. This is why we need to be aware of where we are with our leadership skills, with our leadership ability, and have the strategy to always grow. Now, the point of this session is not to teach you or to give you the points on how to grow your lead, to grow your leadership ability or effectiveness. That's on another session, of which that's part of the milestone number 2 of the entrepreneur's roadmap. Because in the entrepreneur's roadmap, this is where I'm coming back now to the program as a framework. Milestone number 2, which is the strategy that you need to have. You need to have this as one of your strategy, that you need to grow your leadership skills. And you need to, before before you have the growth strategy, leadership growing strategy, or leadership, you know, in, improvement leadership skill, or continuing professional development in that sense, right? Then you should know first where you are. You should know and always grow. Like, for example, I give you an example of mine. When I first started, it's only me and my wife. I was the one doing all the work, with the accountancy. I do all the punching numbers, but that's because of the 9 years experience that I've learned to do bookkeeping and to do data entry and to do the tax return, to do financial statements and things like that. And I know that all inside out. And I created checklists, I created system on how to actually, do this properly, as much as possible, reducing the chances of mistake, or you know improving the chance to found mistake before we lodge it. So yeah, all that I do it myself, right? 9 years technically working, and then starting my own business, getting new clients, doing this all by myself. That's only me. But when you start growing, the question arises always with me: how and when to actually start hiring people, and how. Sometimes we are so scared with the unknown, and me as well, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur at that time, it's so scary in the sense of how, when the income is this much and you have your lifestyle, you have your, let's say, it's a minimum lifestyle that you maintain for your personal, right, with your family, because you have family, I have family at the time. I maintain a very minimal lifestyle. But then with the income, how do you actually start to actually hire new people? Because you can see that you started to see that you cannot move. I cannot move a lot. I cannot grow. I cannot do networking a lot, because my time started to actually cramp down into the production time, where I need to actually have a meeting with client all the time, coaching, uh, you know, VIP sessions, and then punching the numbers, doing the quarterly deadlines, and all that. I was desperate at that time. And it was a struggle for me. I have to be honest. For me, it is a scary time. Hiring people, it's a completely different ball game for me. I finally hired one people. It proves to be okay, but my downside is when I started to hire more people. When it's actually one people, you tend to actually focus and train and maintain relationship with that person, so thus you have full control still. But when it started to have more than one person, one staffs, one employees, one contractor, whatever you said, that collaborate and mingle together, this is where disaster for me. I'm not saying disaster in that sense. It's a valuable lessons for me. It's it's a big hurdle for me to actually jump out. It's traumatized me at some point about this. Still is at some point, at a certain, a certain scenario, it still is, you know. Now I have more than four people working together beside me and my wife, but still, that at a certain scenario I still have that worry. And I know I have to grow more than that. And the lesson I learned, out of this, I'm afraid. Yes. I have fear. Yes. But I know I have to grow. I know I have to grow first. And I'm growing my level. Because I know if I don't grow, my business cannot grow, because I will stuck with me all the time. I will just stuck me doing things. And I think that's what happened with a lot of accountants, a small firm accountants like me. They are usually just a mom and dad accountancy firm where they both do the whole thing. No staff, nothing at all. And this is where I'm not saying that's wrong. If that's really what you're happy with, go for it, right? But I can see, and I can see that, if I want to grow my business, I cannot hold it to myself. I need to let go. I need to delegate, and I need to be able to be free with my time to do a more strategic things in my business. And learning that, to be able to achieve that, I need to grow myself as a leader. I need to grow my ability, my leadership ability, so that I can raise my effectiveness as a leader. So thus it will then give more chance for my business to grow. It's not a guarantee, but it gives more chance. It creates bigger chance, give the business a bigger chance to grow and be better. And that's what happened. And that's what the biggest lesson I have with the law of the lead. I let go of the idea, because I think this is what the mistake with a lot of accountants, that they need to do it themselves to be perfect. In business, we are not to be perfect. Excellence is not about perfections. Excellence is about doing things the best that we can. We will make mistakes. Mistakes still happens until now, but we will grow stronger from that if we have the awareness that we need to grow all the time. As long as we have that mentality as the business owner, and we convey the message all the time that every one of us needs to grow in my team. That's what I always striving for. I want to grow first as a leader. I always want to grow as a leader. And I want to grow all my teams as a leader also. I want to grow them also. I want to see them moving upward, moving forward to become the better person the better version of themselves. So this is my passion, and law of the lead is one of the biggest lesson that I have, that my ability, my leadership ability, of which connected back also to the foundations milestone. Can you see yourself where you are and where you want to go? Can you see the potential of what you're doing? I hope you all can understand and can get the message that I have, the education that I want to convey here, that you need to always strive to be the better version of you. And I hope that I have assisted you to become a better person. This is Chris E from Sydney, Australia, Network 12. If you like the message, I'm I have a program called the Entrepreneur's Roadmap, and you can message me or direct message me if you want to know more. I have an ebook overview ebook also that if you like what you hear so far, you can DM me and then I can add you to my list. That and you can then I can then give you the link to download the books, the ebook. So thank you everyone for having chance to actually listen to me, and hope you have a great week ahead. Hope this message give you the awareness for the from today onward. No matter where you are, no matter where your business is, right now, whether you have hurdles right now or not, whether your wheel of life is actually at the top or at the bottom, whether it's actually a summer season or a winter season right now, hope you are aware of where you are as a leader, that you can always grow yourself and always strive to be the better person or the better version of you. See ya.